Once upon a time, there was a boy named Vart, who was 6 years old, and his sister, Vatuhi, who was 5. Their mother, Vateni, had passed away, and their father, Vartan, had remarried. The new stepmother brought along her own 4-year-old son. Vartan was a prosperous farmer who loved his children dearly. He often bought them nice clothes, delicious food, and pretty toys. However, the stepmother was a wicked woman who envied her stepchildren. She wanted to get rid of them so that her own son could have everything. To achieve her cruel goal, she secretly boiled the seeds her husband was supposed to plant in the field that year. When the wheat didn't grow, there was no harvest, and Vartan had to borrow money to cover expenses. The following year, she repeated this treacherous act, increasing Vartan's debt so much that he lost hope in farming and left to work in other countries. This was exactly what the wicked stepmother wanted. She fed her own son meat and pies, while giving Vart and Vatuhi only a handful of boiled wheat to eat. One day she decided to take the half-orphans to the river, pretending to bathe them, but planning to drown them instead. That day, Vart and Vatuhi were eating their meager meal of boiled wheat in a corner of the yard when they noticed a small sparrow hopping around them, chirping and chattering. Vart wanted to throw a stone at it, but Vatuhi stopped him. As the children ate their poor meal, they suddenly realized they could understand what the sparrow was saying. "Orphans, orphans, good little orphans," chirped the sparrow. "Give me a few grains to take to my little ones in my tiny nest, and I'll give you some good advice." The children tossed a few grains to the bird. After taking them to its nest, the sparrow returned and said, "Orphans, run! Orphans, run! Your stepmother plans to take you to the river today to drown you. Run, orphans, run!" Then the little sparrow flew away. Soon after, the stepmother came to them, saying, "Get up, you dirty things. We're going to the river so I can bathe you." "You go first, Mamma," the children replied. "We'll come along soon." Following the sparrow's advice, they ran away to the mountains. The stepmother didn't bother to search for them, and the two children wandered in the forest until evening. At nightfall, they found shelter in the hollow trunk of an old sycamore tree. They recited the prayer their late mother had taught them and fell asleep in each other's arms. Just after daybreak, the faithful sparrow returned. As the children woke up, they heard it chirping, "Orphans, good orphans, come and eat. There's boiled wheat for you." They got up and followed the sparrow, which led them to a place where an old woman had just emptied a kettle full of boiled wheat under a tree before leaving. Many little sparrows had gathered around the wheat, and the two half-orphans joined them for the meal. The kind old woman brought a kettle full of wheat to this spot every day. She did this in memory of her children and grandchildren who had died young, believing that these little birds were the spirits of her departed loved ones. Vart and Vatuhi lived among the sparrows for a long time. One day, while hunting in the forest, the prince came across the children. Impressed by them, he took them to his palace and adopted them as his own son and daughter. The children were so charming that everyone at court adored them. However, Vart and Vatuhi weren't completely happy. The prince noticed their sadness and asked, "What's troubling you, my children? Why are you so unhappy?" Vart replied, "We miss our dear papa who went away." Vatuhi added, "And we long to see the little sparrow who helped us." Touched by their words, the prince sent out search parties to find Vartan, the children's father. When they found him, they brought him back. The prince punished the wicked stepmother for her cruelty and reunited Vartan with his children. He even offered Vartan a job as a messenger in the court, but finding the sparrow seemed impossible. Then one day, it appeared on its own, alighting on the window where the orphans were. It chirped, "You blessed little orphans. You showed kindness to my little ones and gave me grain. Look how heaven has rewarded you with so many blessings. May you continue to be blessed and happy." The prince was touched by the sparrow's role in helping the orphans and granted it permission to build its nest under the eaves of the palace. From that day on, all sparrows that build their nests under the eaves of houses are said to be descendants of this kind sparrow.